Good afternoon. My name is Krishna Allavaru. I am in charge of the Youth Congress for India. I'm also the moderator for this session. I would like to apologize to all of you and to the panelists for coming late. I was in another session and that ran over. I got here as soon as I could. But sorry once again for being late. So with your permission and the panel's permission, we'd like to start this session. I think I'd like to begin by requesting each panelist to introduce themselves, herself, himself. So can we start with you, please? Is there a hand mic?
Should I come and stand?
Oh, if you're comfortable, they can give you a hand mic. That's easier, I think.
Oh, okay.
Can you sit that way, please?
Congress leaders, delegates, pacifists, progressives, Democrats, everyone in the room, namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam, namaskar, assalamu alaikum, and in my mother tongue, kia ora mai rā tātou, ngā mihi nui kia koe, ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. My name's Arena Williams. I am a Member of Parliament for Manurewa, which is a constituency in my home city of Auckland. It is the poorest and most impoverished constituency in my home Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I'm proud to wake up every day and represent it. I'm also the youngest elected member of the Parliamentary Labour Party in New Zealand for this term. And it's an honour to be here, sitting in a room with people who are not only thinking deeply about the future, but who are building it. Thank you for having me here, and thank you to the organisers of this summit. I want to start off with a question. What if we took seriously the idea that planning, economic planning, democratic planning, could be an act of imagination, not just administration? For me, that's what I think of when I think of the legacy of Prime Minister Nehru and what he gave to the world. He set about doing what the world around him needed when it was weighed down by not only economic recession, but by rising tensions of war. And that's not unlike the world we find ourselves in today. He championed an industrial policy for India in 1938 by bringing together scientists, industrialists, economists, feminists, freedom fighters, and his opponents. And he asked them, how can we build an economy that reflects our values, not just our needs? What would it take to turn a country shaped by colonial extraction into a country defined by self-reliance, now that we call resilience? And I know a lot of you around this room live and govern those countries that have a similar history of colonisation and colonial extraction over many, many centuries. I'm wondering, in 2025, with the challenges we face, could that same spirit of planning help us build not just resilience with the nations we represent here today, but solidarity between the nations that we represent here today? And there are many in this crowd. In the Pacific, we need to be rethinking what development means, who it's for and who gets to design it. And I'm looking to the young Pacific leaders like the young Fijian negotiators for climate change who have been leading their policy. In my hometown of Auckland, those young leaders on youth councils who have real budgeting power. And to many in the room today of the Thailand's Move Forward Party represented here who are leading the world in democratic organising and community mobilisation, leaders in youth movements in Taiwan who are opening up those institutions. But those institutions need to be ready. So my challenge to us before we start the session is to think, we are a room full of people who believe in democratic institutions, but are our democratic institutions ready? And do they have the capacity that they need to build nations like they did in the 1940s and the kind of nations that we need to build in the 2040s? We owe it to the next generation, and I think the young people around our region are all asking the right questions. It's our job now to make sure that they can lead to answer those questions.
Hi, I'm just going to ask the panelists to pause for a second because I have to invite some people on the dais. So I'd like to invite Ponnam Prabhakar, please come on the dais. Vamshi Krishna, Venkat Balmur. Besides being friends, they're also Minister, MLC and MP. So please welcome. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Linesh, and I'm from Malaysia. And I'm currently serve as a vice chairman of Democratic Action Socialist Youth. And okay, I'm the first Tamil boy to hold this position. And also, it is an honor to be here around the youth leader around the world. And it is not only honor, but it is a responsibility on topic on relevant, but it's a critical youth. Critical youth of politics of tomorrow. Our world is changing rapidly, technology-wise, social movement, and we have to reshaping the way we live, work, and connect in the midst of transformation and powerful forces of youth. Later today, if I got a chance, we will share how Malaysians are working meaningfully, mobilize young people to progress change. This work goes beyond protest and petition. It is about building a suitable and inclusive future where youth lead from the front. I will be sharing a few strategies that we have found effectively transforming youthful energy into real and lasting impact. So thank you.
Hello everyone, I speak in Spanish. Muchas gracias queridos compañeros y compañeras. Es para mí un honor estar acá en India compartiendo sobre los desafíos y también las políticas del mañana de los movimientos juveniles. Permítanme presentarme, soy Jesús Tapia de Venezuela, en Sudamérica. Durante 5 años estuve liderando a la Internacional Socialista de Jóvenes en América y por 2 años fui el presidente de la UCI, de la Internacional Socialista de Jóvenes, y tengo ya cerca de 10 años trabajando políticas de juventud a nivel internacional. Todavía soy un joven, tengo 33 años. A pesar de que ya soy veterano de la UCI, no dejo de estar comprometido con las luchas que enfocan a la política a nivel internacional en materia de juventud. Este tema es muy importante que lo estemos abordando en el marco de este evento. Sin duda representa una oportunidad para los movimientos juveniles a nivel internacional, para el movimiento de jóvenes del partido anfitrión en India, porque nos permite no solamente discutir sobre los temas que a los jóvenes hoy nos preocupan como generación, sino también las acciones que como generación estamos llevando a cabo para poder cambiar el mundo. Y para poder cambiar el mundo empieza porque los jóvenes podamos ser capaces de abordar los temas desde nuestras organizaciones y que se entienda desde nuestros partidos políticos que los jóvenes son necesarios no solamente para acompañar los procesos o para acompañar a los liderazgos, sino que los jóvenes somos capaces de asumir posiciones de liderazgo y de conducción, pero también somos capaces de ser electos en diferentes posiciones gubernamentales y de llevar a cabo políticas públicas que nos permitan ser una voz firme en cada uno de los países donde estamos trabajando. Quiero agradecer también una vez más a la Alianza Progresista, de la cual soy miembro de su directiva global, y al partido anfitrión de India por permitirnos acá, junto a mis queridos compañeros y compañeras del liderazgo de UCI también y de organizaciones miembros, estar compartiendo la tarde de hoy en este espacio.
Thank you. My name's Marina, and I'm from the New Zealand Labour Party, much like Arana down there. And I'm also here today representing the International Union of Socialist Youth, which is the largest political youth organisation in the world, as Jesus explained. It was founded in 1907 to confront growing militarization and nationalization in Europe, and since then it has grown to be represented by over 100 countries and I think 136 member organizations. And I'm lucky to be here today alongside Jesus and James to talk from a UC perspective and to share with you all. So thank you so much for inviting us to be here today. I want to reflect briefly on the two key issues that I see as confronting youth in especially my society, but across the world at the moment. The first one, of course, is climate change, and I think from a Pacific perspective, it is very close to home. And I know in New Zealand, we are in a relatively privileged position, but our neighbors in the Pacific Islands are not. It is the most significant issue for us in our region, and I think we need to acknowledge how directly conflicted climate change is with capitalism and our current way of living. We need widespread economic and systematic change, but at a time when we're all struggling so much just to get by, I think it is very difficult to have these conversations and to frame this in a way that is acceptable to the public. So I think a great conversation to have today is how we do this, how we frame this conversation, and how we convince our peers that we all need to get on board with this. The other thing I believe is extreme polarization, and I think this is especially an issue with the youth across the Anglosphere and in Europe. We've seen a pretty sharp move to the extreme right, especially by younger boys, and this has been amplified by the algorithms we're showing on social media. Algorithms are purposed to promote the most engagement that there can be for these social media content, so they naturally show extremist content, things that are going to get people watching, get reactions, and in doing this they promote quite harmful content, unrealistic body standards, violence, hate speech, and this in turn is shaping our young people, and I think it's doing a lot of harm. This is showing up in our voting trends across the world, and I'm definitely seeing this in my own schooling and across in New Zealand. So I think for me, these are the issues that I would really like to talk about today, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of this panel. Thank you.
Buenas tardes para todos, para todas. Mi nombre es James Canizales. Represento al Partido Liberal Colombiano, un partido de 176 años de historia, donde ejerzo como subsecretario general del Partido Liberal y exsecretario de las Juventudes de mi partido. Adicional a esto, soy vicepresidente de la UCI, a mucho honor, es un orgullo para mí representar a los jóvenes del mundo en nuestro trasegar y caminar de ideas progresistas en el mundo. Hoy quisiéramos traer y exponer para que los jóvenes progresistas del mundo entiendan la importancia de asumir narrativas que tengan la capacidad de darle soluciones a los jóvenes del mundo. Hace 30, 40 y 50 años eran otros problemas los que aquejaban a los jóvenes. No teníamos la era de la tecnología, de las inteligencias artificiales, y las prioridades y las necesidades de los jóvenes eran otras. Tal vez la acumulación de tierra, tal vez la acumulación de bienes, y hoy las necesidades de los jóvenes pasan por distintas realidades, como la acumulación de aguas, de estudio, de viaje. Y por eso es importante, desde la perspectiva progresista, reconectar con esas ciudadanías y les podamos nosotros entregar nuevas soluciones atendiendo a las redes sociales y a todas las nuevas tecnologías para entregar soluciones distintas a las que el tradicionalismo político de derechas y de izquierdas han venido y han desconectado con el interés de los nuevos jóvenes en el mundo. Es un tema que tiene que necesariamente pasar con la interiorización y el entendimiento de la globalización como un eje capitalizador y obligatorio de las nuevas sociedades. Y allí es donde nosotros como organización progresista con valores democráticos tenemos la obligación y la capacidad de entregar una nueva narrativa distinta que entregue soluciones a los problemas que hoy aquejan a los jóvenes del mundo.
Hello everyone. My name is Varun Chaudhary. I'm currently working as a national president of NSUI, and I really welcome you all. And India is the youngest nation, of course. I'm also very much interested in this topic, youth and politics. So I'm just introducing myself. I'm also former youngest secretary in Delhi University Students Union. So I next Dev is just introduce himself. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Dev Darshan Sukumar Rajan, currently a PhD scholar at University of Oxford, working on political communication as well as ethno-nationalism globally and in pre-war Sri Lankan context. I was not prepared to be part of this panel, but last minute they asked me to, and I'm not a good speaker, but yeah, I'm just trying my best. So it's a real privilege to be part of this discussion on youth and politics of tomorrow. In thinking about where politics is headed, I find myself returning to a simple but powerful idea. The nation is not just a place, it's a story. And the story is constantly being told and retold through political communications, through speeches, campaigns, symbols, and even silence. How leaders speak about us and them, what histories they highlight, what futures they promise. They are not just words, they shape how people imagine their country, who think they belongs, and what they are willing to fight or exclude. Young people are growing up in a moment of intense political messaging, from social media to mass rallies, and they're navigating a landscape where the idea of nation is often framed in a narrow, sometimes divisive ways. But they also have the power to challenge those frames, to imagine the nation as something more inclusive and more just. So the real question for the future is not just who will lead, but what kind of nation are we communicating into existence, and how are young people changing that conversation? That's simply my opening remark.
Thanks. We can pass.
I welcome all panel speakers from Telangana state, the host state. I have basically started my career from Students' Union politics as an ex-member of parliament. Now I have become a minister from Telangana. So I heartful welcome to all panel speakers. And the important subject, youth and politics of tomorrow. The nation waiting for youth entering into politics, because now youth is dividing in somewhere. We will discuss the things. I am going to my colleague.
I would like to welcome all the delegates for this meeting from across the world who are here with us. Myself, my name is Balmuri Venkat. I'm the youngest member of Legislative Council in Indian political history. This is an opportunity. I got it through the transformation process in our student union election, NSUI. I was former NSUI state president and former NSUI national secretary previously. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to all the panelists and all of the audience. I'm very honored to be part of this panel, and I welcome all of you on behalf of the Telangana government. I am a member of parliament. My constituency is Peddapalli. We come from a very rural, backward area, just like our co-panelist here. And we have the youngest demographic in the world. India is the youngest demographic. And it is more crucial than ever that we put all these young minds into thinking about the progress of our nation, thinking about development, and not get distracted and diverted into non-productive avenues of life. And I think after joining politics, I think it's more important that the youth of our country is nurtured and directed in the way of development rather than getting distracted with the numerous, we all are on social media, we all are aware of TikTok and Instagram and the negatives of social media. And I think it's very important being on the side of politics, on the side of policy, that we have regulated use of such platforms which influence the young minds of our country. There's no point of having the youngest demographic if most of our youth is unemployed or is distracted, right? Empty minds is a devil's workshop. So I think it's important, especially from the government point of view, the politics point of view, like my colleague here, Mr. Venkat shared, our Chief Minister, Revanth Reddy Garu, and our leader, Rahul Gandhi ji, has been very particular about getting younger minds into the parliament, younger minds into the assembly. And you see it very clearly this time in the parliament. There are almost 60 MPs which are under the age of 35. And I'm very happy that I'm part of that number. And we see a very good blend of experience and of new talent, of young talent that is in the parliament on any issue that's been going on in the country. There's always, our leader always calls our MPs and asks us to give our thought process, what we're thinking, and takes our viewpoint. And that is really encouraging for young people like us to be part of politics. And I got a cue to keep my speech short, but I'm very happy and glad to be part of this panel and look forward to interacting with more on offline basis. Thank you.
Thank you to each of the panelists for their introductions and some of you for your opening remarks. I think the way we will take this forward is that I will ask one question which is open to all the panelists, and then I'm going to throw it open to questions from the audience. A request for the panelists is to keep your responses as brief as possible in the interest of time, so that the audience gets a chance to participate as much as possible. So the session is about youth politics of tomorrow. And I think the issues of today will determine the progress for tomorrow. And if you talk about some of the biggest issues that we as a state in Telangana, as a country in India, and as global citizens across the world, we observe, we see, we face, there are three broadly common themes that run across as the biggest issues that we face today. One of them is inequality. And I mean inequality in an economic sense, where the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. I mean it in a social sense, and I also mean it in a political sense, where opportunities are not equal for people from different parts of society. The other problem that I'd like the panelists to comment upon is climate change. And I think climate change does not require too much of elaboration, so I'm not going to elaborate on that. The third issue is growing instability. And I think this is linked to some of the other issues. When I say instability, it means that the world order is increasingly being disrupted by both micro and macro conflict. Sometimes it is nations facing off against each other. In other places, it is one section of society facing off against another section. Some of this conflict is visible. Some of this conflict is not visible. So as youth leaders from different parts of the world, how would you suggest we engage more and more youth in decision-making processes through the political system to address these issues? Climate change, inequality, and instability. So I will leave it to the panel to raise their hand and speak as they wish to. I'm just going to keep a check on time. Try to keep your responses as much as possible within 2 minutes. So thank you.
So I can go first and I'll keep it short because there are a lot of panel members. Before joining politics, I had the opportunity to work on climate change actually. I worked on a solar product where the roof itself could generate power using solar energy. And very proud to share that we got a patent against Elon Musk in America as well. In the United States, I'm the first Indian to get a patent against Elon Musk on solar product. And why I'm sharing that with you all is, after joining the parliament, I am in Science and Technology Committee and in Heavy Industries Committee. So this is a great opportunity for people who are from non-political background also to use their talent, to use the skills that they've developed over the time to implement and contribute to the nation building and the nation development. So I just want to share those thoughts, and I'll speak more when I get a chance again, but not to think that politics is always dirty and there's always a lot of negative connotations attached to it. There's a lot of positive also that's happening today, and the youth of the country should look at opportunities to explore their interests via political medium as well. Thank you.
You can follow any order. It's not necessary. I mean, you can speak, Venkat, but I'm just saying that whoever's ready to speak, just ask for the mic and go ahead.
To engage youth in politics, nowadays, youngsters like who are in the age group of 18 to 35, they coming into politics, they just think, because see, I'm a first timer coming into politics in my family. I got an opportunity because there was some election process within INC, Indian National Congress, NSUI, with which I could elect, and I was able to prove myself. And this election process need to be introduced at college level and university level at every point, because of which students might come into the student union elections, they can show their abilities, they can show their interest, and then only the discussion happens on the subject. If we don't allow students or student leaders to come into through this election process, and all of a sudden you ask them to join politics after they're getting into their professions, which is through election process, it is very difficult, because they think that nowadays, or most of the youngsters think that politics, going into politics, it is not it is a piece of bread for us. They just think that politics is something different and it is not related with their profession. But end of the day, each and everything in their profession is decided by a politician. So youngsters, to know the mindset of the youth, the representatives from them should come up into politics, then only these changes can be done. Thank you.
Great provocation about those three crises, and I would see them as for what they are. Our world is in crisis. It's a crisis of climate change, of dispossessed people, and of people who will soon be landless. It's a crisis of people who are suffering from growing inequality, not only landlessness caused by climate change, but of decades of government failure to stand up for working people. And as progressives, we have to challenge ourselves and see those for what they are, which is once in a generation opportunities for political change. In the moments where there have been incredible political change around the world, we have seen a crisis for what it is. Like in the 1930s, when Prime Minister Nehru proposed his plan for industrial policy in India, that was in response to crisis. It was in response to rising global tensions and the threat of another war. And we found in that situation and around the world at that time that it was young people who were able to step into the breach and to introduce new ideas, that there was a particular moment where the public was willing to hear from people who had never been involved in politics, who had no experience of the political realm or expertise in business or science, that it was people who were proposing new ideas who were exactly what people wanted. And I think that in this room of people who are experienced politicians, who are experienced civic leaders, it's our duty now to see this as a problem that we do not have the answers for. That for climate change to get a real kind of political response, we need to change the way that we think, and we need to open the doors for people with new solutions and to technology with new solutions. On the issue of economic inequality, I think that is the one that we all have a real duty as progressives to make the most change in. Policies that are genuinely redistributive, that are premised in care for each other and respect for the dignity of people should be paramount to progressive movements. And the young people who are leading the way, as the academics, as the thought leaders, as the public discourse agents in that, are the people we should be listening to.
First of all, we have to understand that politics is a serf, it's not a job. Many of the youngsters, they think the politics is a job. When we ask them to join the politics, they will ask, what can I get? No, it is not like that. This is a service. Politician is a service. So we are the young generation, are more just a leader of tomorrow. We are the change maker of today. Political is no longer conflict to politician of parliament or debates on television. It is a leaf in our voice, our action, and our determination in building a better world tomorrow. But let's face through many young people feel a disconnect from politics. We are seeing corruption, broken promises, and systems that don't always reflect our values. However, it is not a reason to walk away, but it is a reason to step up. Politics needs young voice, bold, idealistic, and fearless. We are the generation that has grown up, witnessed climate change, economically equivalent, and global unrest. We are also the generation that, as organized movement, push for the reform and demand justice online and also on the street. The politics of tomorrow cannot succeed without us. We must become active citizens, not passive observers. That means voting, raising our voice, or joining, or even leading a political movement. It means standing for the truth, fairness, and illusions. Thank you.
Ciertamente vivimos en un mundo profundamente interconectado y también profundamente desigual. Estamos en una era digital donde sin duda esto representa un desafío no solamente para nuestra generación, sino para todos nuestros movimientos políticos. Yo vengo de un país en Sudamérica, Venezuela, donde muchos de nuestros jóvenes hoy no tienen acceso a Internet. Y sabemos lo importante que es esto. Y también pasa en muchos de los países de Sudamérica, donde muchos jóvenes no tienen acceso siquiera a un teléfono celular. Tampoco tienen acceso a Internet. Entonces, ciertamente esto nos convoca porque entendemos que estamos viviendo en una era digital donde nosotros como jóvenes, parte de esta generación, que por cierto, somos una de las generaciones mejor formadas de toda la historia, pero que aparte tenemos un compromiso, y no solamente un compromiso con nuestra generación, sino un compromiso con la humanidad. Porque hemos entendido también que el futuro de la humanidad necesita del protagonismo de nuestra juventud. Y es por ello que siempre lo hemos dicho, y lo repito en este espacio, que en cualquier evento o en cualquier espacio donde se pretenda definir el futuro de la humanidad, siempre tiene que estar la voz de la juventud. Y la voz de la juventud es necesaria para proponer, pero también tiene que ser escuchada. Y que esas propuestas que nuestra generación tiene sobre los diferentes temas que hoy forman parte de nuestra agenda común y de las prioridades a nivel global, sean puntos que se conviertan en políticas públicas y que den respuesta a los grandes problemas que enfrenta no solamente nuestra generación, sino todas las sociedades. Y es por ello que el llamado siempre es a que nuestros partidos políticos, miembros de nuestra familia ideológica, entiendan la importancia de una vez por todas del rol de esta generación. Es la juventud quien va a transformar. Es la juventud quien está decidida a aportar pero también en avanzar hacia políticas que nos permitan atender los problemas que nos aquejan a todos por igual.
Well, it's my opinion that today's youth is extremely political. We've grown up in a society that is faced with so many gigantic issues which are affecting our future so deeply. And I think the responsibility, therefore, needs to be on our present-day traditional institutions to engage with youth rather than the other way around, youth engaging with them. I think the opportunities need to be made in the current institutions. And I appreciate that we as Youth Wings are in quite a unique position to do so. Currently in New Zealand right now, we are running a program of it's Young Labour organised, but taking the leader of our party, Chris Hipkins, around the country to meet our communities and talk to them about what's important. So I think it's a really privileged position to be in, to be able to organise that and work on that, and I think it's something that's been really successful so far. The other thing is ensuring that within our parties we're selecting people that represent a broad range of demographics, including young people, making space for young people in seats that are winnable, making sure that young people are represented at the table. Because no one's going to know the issues of young people better than young people and how young people want them addressed. I think also something that's really valuable is civics education in schools. I know this is something we've been fighting for in New Zealand, to have better civics education, giving young people the tools in schools to understand their political systems and interact with them in a way that is productive. And finally, I think in New Zealand, we have some creative solutions for how we get people involved with political institutions, and one of those is the youth parliament that we run every year, where 120 young people represent our 120 MPs in the parliament for a week, debating topics and making decisions about bills and stuff like that. And this has sparked quite a few big campaigns in New Zealand, one of which was the conversion therapy ban, which was successful a few years ago, so that was awesome. But a current one is the Make It 16 campaign, which we're still fighting for, engaging youth at a younger age, giving them the vote at 16, which has been very successful in a range of countries around the world. But yeah, allowing youth who do so many things, can drive, can make legal decisions, giving them the chance to have a vote to say who leads them in their country, engaging them at that very young age. All right, thank you.
¿Cómo buscar las formas y los procedimientos para que la juventud se interese en la participación? Es necesario implementar e impulsar la participación ciudadana a través de mecanismos no solo de los partidos políticos, sino del gobierno, simulando para que los jóvenes puedan tener sus consejos municipales de juventudes, sus asambleas departamentales de juventudes o de Estado, y puedan tener un primer roce de participación y entendimiento de lo que se vive al interior de un escenario político. Es importante que el partido en sus inicios democráticamente, internamente, pueda generar espacios de democracia para que podamos iniciar primero con ese entendimiento de la participación ciudadana interna de los partidos, cómo buscar los votos, cómo convencer a los jóvenes de que participe en una elección, y después cómo ese joven debe de moverse en ese escenario de participación, llámese consejo o asamblea, y desde allí pueda minimizar los errores para cuando asuman estas posiciones en sus partidos y en sus naciones, no se cometan los errores y lleguen definitivamente a generar, ahora sí, soluciones a los problemas que se aquejan en el nuevo milenio, tal como el medio ambiente, la desigualdad e infinidad de procesos y propuestas que se pueden generar a través de la juventud. Hay que formar a los jóvenes y capacitarlos para que a temprana edad de sus 14 a sus 28 años, puedan visionar las soluciones a sus problemas en sus naciones y cuando estén y lleguen a esos espacios de participación no pierdan tiempo en la minucia de la política, sino que tengan un entendimiento claro de cómo conciliar las ideas, de cómo superar esa etapa de la práctica política, del acuerdo, y podamos generar un mayor resultado de políticas efectivas en la nación sin pasar tanto por esa minucia del trasegar, de cómo sacar un proyecto de ley, de cómo afianzar una política pública en el gobierno y en los congresos de los países.
Thank you.
So the next decade of politics won't be shaped by traditional campaigns or speeches. It will be driven by young people using social media to redefine how we talk about national identity and power. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram aren't just about sharing memes anymore. They have become spaces where we shape the national story. Instead of waiting for what politicians or the media to tell us what's happening, young people are taking control of the conversation. What really clicks with our generation is authenticity. We care about real values like inclusion, social justice, and environmental issues, as our co-panel speakers mentioned with regards to that. If a political message doesn't feel genuine, it won't resonate with the broader youth population at the moment. In a way, we are building new myths and symbols. It's a political terminology used in academic researches, but a viral hashtag or meme can influence how we see the nation or shape our beliefs. It's a powerful stuff using social media at the moment globally. So, for example, look at Trump and his use of social media like MAGA movement or all sort of things, the campaign rhetorics that has been coming out in a most hyper-nationalist tone globally, with right-wing populist agendas being spoken widely among the global community. Trump's success shows how platforms can amplify certain messages for better or worse. It's a reminder that while social media offers huge potential, it also brings new challenges to political discourse. In my research on nationalism, we see how leaders construct national identities through speech, but with young people shaping their own narratives online, they are challenging or reinforcing those ideas in real time. So social media is adding a new layer to this conversation. So in the end, it's not about who shouts the loudest in media or anything. It's about who tells the most authentic story. And young people are already leading that change, I believe. Yeah.
Poonamji, would you like to come in? The themes that I picked up. One is there is no age too young for youth to get interested in community issues, national issues, global issues. And the more the youth start becoming aware of these issues, the more likely they are to participate, which was something that one of our panelists stressed, and not get diverted to crime, to violence, to drugs, to hate, and so on. So the more conversations we have with our youth, and when I say youth, I don't mean 18 and above, but I also mean, like the panelists have said, from as early as 13 maybe, to start engaging them with issues. The other thing I heard is that the youth should take initiative, have ideas, and not be too worried about a lot of challenges that they will face. We heard examples of ideas from youth which have taken on people like Elon Musk. And I think that is very inspiring, very motivating. We've also heard that to capture this energy, to make it easy for people to come from all walks of life, to get into politics, there should be processes from the political party side which will make it easy, accessible, open, transparent, meritocratic. and so on. We also heard that as more youth start getting engaged, it's extremely important for us to ensure that there is diversity in the youth leadership that we bring into politics, so that voices from different sections, from different communities, from different genders, they all get their rightful spaces. So thank you so much for your comments. I'm going to throw it open to questions from the audience. A couple of points when we take questions from the audience. Can somebody get a mic to people who are raising hands? We will have time about 10 minutes maximum, because I've already been told by the organizers that we have to move somewhere. So please, one question per person. Kindly keep the question short, and please specify the panelist from whom you want to hear an answer to your question. Thank you. Do we have mics? Can we get mics, please, quickly, to the gentleman in the checked shirt? Please introduce yourself quickly and then ask your question shortly.
Good afternoon. I am myself Vinay Sarathi. I come from Bangalore, and I am part of a union, the Gig Workers Union. Swiggy, Zomato, we organize them. So I actually endorse many points by the panelists. So many things came up very positively. I would like to make a note. I don't know if it's a question, but I don't want to discomfort anyone either. But when we are organizing these workers across Karnataka, in the state of Karnataka, one thing that comes up to my mind is unemployment has become a very big issue, wherein there are some panelists who are there in power or who are visualizing some things. So a stable job and something, highlighting on economic equality, a stable job and something ensured to the working masses is really what is mattering. So I don't have any specific panelists to speak upon this, but if anybody would like to make a comment, I would like to hear it from them. And it's something that concerns the society, as India is one of the youngest country, as our MP told. That is my point.
Thank you. Would any of the panelists want to comment on this? The question is, the youngsters are very concerned about economic opportunity, stability, and equal access to opportunities.
So thank you for that question. Actually, this has been one of our primary goals of our state government also, to create employment for the mass number of people in our state. I just want to point out that we are one of the first governments to have given 50,000 jobs from the government to the unemployed youth in the state. And apart from that, what our Chief Minister is trying to do and what we are also trying to do from the putting pressure in the center is create avenues for skill development. Coming from the industry to what talent we have out there, there's a mismatch always in terms of where the jobs are going to what skills we have on ground. So one of the major problems that we are trying to address today is trying to bridge that gap in terms of skill, in terms of what type of skill is available in the market to what the industry wants. So one of the very good initiatives that our government also has taken is it has looped in Anand Mahindra ji for Skill University. So we are trying to bring in industry leaders who are job creators at the country at large, and trying to say this is where the skill gap is there. If we can get more number of people enrolling in skill development roles, we can bridge the gap between unemployment and employment. That's first point. Another initiative that we are doing also is with Tata.
In my own, to keep it short, please.
Yeah, in my own constituency, we are developing the skill development centers which are backed by Tata also. So I'll stop with that, but there's a lot of work happening and there's a long way to go also. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm MD Sandeep, sir. I'm MSME consultant. We help MSMEs in enhancing their creditworthiness. This is taking cue from what Mr. Venkat sir spoke, that youth should be engaged from as quickly as from their college days, 18 years. And what is that incentive that governments or universities, educational institutions can provide if they engage in such kind of progressive political exercises or initiatives?
So who are you asking the question to?
Anyone in the panelists? Yeah. What could?
So
But
okay, let's give Varun a chance. He hasn't spoken much.
I think you are saying about in the university and schools who are engaged in the politics. I think in politics there are no incentives as such. But of course, who do start politics in the age of 18 years might be more ahead who start politics in 30 or 35 years. And in politics, I think there's no place called like you can't pay them like. That's my answer.
Thank you. We're going to take a question from
It's
the
a long
lady,
process.
from a lady at the back. If you don't mind, I'll come back to you. Let's be quick with the questions and as brief as possible with the answers. That way more people can participate, and I'm seeing a lot of interest.
Hello. Yeah. Hello everyone. My name is Srujana Yadav. I am from Telangana and I have a background in political science. So the question is, I think it's layered. There are three themes that this hall is discussing today: inequality, climate change, and growing instability. Putting this as a background, the youth in India today might want to get into politics or want to get into many other opportunities. But I fundamentally feel that to make any opportunity, politics is the right forum. But if you see Indian politics across political parties, you're a son of an MP, you're a daughter of an MLA, you're a CM of a industrialist. So when we think of providing an equal platform for youth, very specifically the marginalized youth who are at the brunt of inequality, who are at the brunt of climate change crisis, who are also at the brunt of many social political inequalities. So is there any political party or any individual, this question is very specific to Mr. Minister and Mr. MP and Mr. MLC from Telangana, that as a party, as a government, do you think state funding of elections will be a right opportunity for the youth to come? Because my father is a farmer, my friend's father is an auto driver, I cannot compete with an MP's son. So how are we creating this equal political platform? Does the party or the government in future think of state funding of elections for the candidates?
Your question is clear. I'm going to direct it to Ponnam as you requested.
Madam, I have a practical evidence. My father also agriculture basically. So I am entered into student politics and in front of Krishna Lavaru, I request to student politics. Our political background is only student politics and no godfather. Generally, I'm fighting for student cause. I entered to Lok Sabha also and now I am a Telangana minister. So, like Balmur Venkat also, maybe Vamshi is not there. Vamshi is having this political background as father and grandfather. But all are not that like. And student politics in this state, there is no student election. I am in government also, I am requesting government to conduct student elections. The new politician can enter and new blood will become by electing students' unions. This is an entire country or nation. If we want to introduce new young blood, that entry should be as a students' union politics. If students' union election is not there, at that my time when I am studying, if I am not entering into politics. So, what she madam told, maybe that type of persons also there, this type of persons also there.
Okay, I think there's more interest in the panel to answer the question, so it must be a very good question. So I'm going to allow one more panelist to come in quickly.
Hi.
I think he wants to just say something.
I want to say one thing about the money and power. The lady is asking the question. See, if your idea is strong, I think around 200 people sitting in the room, if your idea is strong about the politics, you can easily take a 500 money from each and everyone easily. I can say you can collect a lot of money if you have that much potential. I am also from the completely non-political family background, and everyone I think who are from the Congress sitting here, are completely from non-political background, 80 or 90%. It's very easy to collect the money. If your idea is real or your idea is strong, you can easily collect the money to do the politics. I think money is just a I can say is the big is a big excuse to do no to. I don't have a money, so I can't do the politics. Thanks.
Okay.
Hi.
That gentleman.
Thank
please.
you very much. My name is Jose Julio Gomez. I'm coming from the Dominican Republic.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Okay. My name is Jose Julio Gomez. I'm coming from the Dominican Republic. I'm 33. In 2020, I took over as a deputy foreign minister of my country, and now I'm the current Dominican Republic's ambassador to the People's Republic of China. I would like to address my question to the Latin American colleagues, because in our region, we have a lot of youth in very important positions, like a president, a minister of foreign affairs, a minister of trade. But not necessarily they are a member of our ideological family. They are conservative, they are extreme right, but they are not progressive. How we, as a young generation who has been taking over of very important positions, can explain to our generation that the people from the right are taking over of those type of a position, they are winning elections, but we are not giving them the answers that they are expecting.
So, I think
Para
the question was
Jesús y
directed to the
Hans.
Latin American colleagues. So, Jesus and Steve, you're welcome to come in afterwards.
Ciertamente, yo agradezco mucho este espacio porque sin duda que nos permite conocer también cuáles son las realidades de los jóvenes en esta provincia donde nos encontramos y también en India, porque eso es lo gratificante de estos espacios, que nosotros quienes venimos desde muy lejos podamos conocer lo que está pasando acá, las inquietudes también que hay en temas de acceso a la política y de materia de juventudes, pero que también ustedes pueden conocer un poco de lo que venimos haciendo y de lo que venimos trabajando a nivel global. Ciertamente tiene que haber espacios que nos permitan como generación avanzar, ¿no? Yo pienso que el ir hacia los espacios de toma de decisiones en cualquiera de los niveles habla del compromiso de esta generación. Pero hemos visto también cómo el auge de la derecha y de estos sectores populistas llevan políticas que no son realmente beneficiarias para nuestra generación. Y es allí donde nuestra familia ideológica tiene que dar respuesta que le permita a los jóvenes sentirse parte y sentirse identificados con esas políticas públicas que se estén ejecutando. Esto es un tema que sin duda nos llama a tener mayor compromiso como generación, y que también entendamos que las puertas no siempre van a estar abiertas, pero si no están abiertas, que seamos capaces como generación de derribar esas puertas que estén cerradas y tomar también posiciones que nos permitan desde cualquiera de los niveles. Yo vengo en mi país del movimiento, para hablar de otro asunto, vengo del movimiento estudiantil, y no vengo de una familia ni pudiente, ni una familia que tenía grandes posiciones en el gobierno. Y esto me ha permitido a mí, no solamente en el caso de Venezuela, sino de ser una voz activa a nivel internacional. Y es por ello que hemos trazado una línea para decirle de una vez por todas a todos los líderes mundiales que es necesaria la voz de la juventud. Y en materia de posiciones que son posiciones que definen el futuro de nuestros países, los futuros de nuestras regiones, por supuesto que es importante que esté la voz de nuestros jóvenes, la experiencia de nuestros jóvenes. Muchas veces nos piden para ocupar una posición gubernamental, no, es que es muy joven, es que no tiene la experiencia. Pero ¿cómo vamos a tener la experiencia si no nos permiten acceder a esas posiciones donde se definen el futuro de nuestros países y el futuro de la humanidad?
Steve.
Hay un valor progresista en el mundo, y especialmente en los jóvenes, que es la rebeldía. Y les pedimos hoy a los jóvenes progresistas en el mundo que sean rebeldes, que sean contestatarios, que sean libertarios y a través de esos tres valores que den un golpe sobre la mesa y le digan a la política de su país que hay jóvenes dispuestos a transformar y a tomarse todos los espacios de poder. Jesús exponía un caso similar al que vivo en Colombia. Yo soy también un joven de clase media, de una familia no tradicional, no política, así como Jesús, como José Julio y muchos jóvenes hechos en UCI y que han tenido la posibilidad de escalar y a codazos tener posiciones de poder. Hoy represento a mi partido en la subsecretaría general, el partido más importante de mi país, en el segundo cargo más importante de mi partido, un joven de 35 años que no tenía posibilidades ni por apellido ni por descendencia familiar de obtener un cargo como estos. Por eso le digo a los jóvenes, sean rebeldes, sean contestatarios, sean libertarios y asuman posiciones que coloquen en riesgo muchas cosas, pero que seguramente van a tener un feliz final y seguramente los va a colocar en una posición, si perdimos, ganamos, decimos en mi país. Perder es ganar un poco.
Thank you. Yes, the lady. I just have to say this, that I've already broken the rules laid down by the organizers. So we are going to take two last questions. And yes, please go ahead.
Great, thank you so much.
And I'm sorry, I know a lot of people want to speak from the panel, but I'm just going to request one, maximum two panelists. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to direct this to somebody in particular. Hello, my name's Christina, originally from Aotearoa, New Zealand, but now I work in Australia on technology policy. I think given we are all youth working in political positions, it's kind of apt to talk about technology, given we as youth are the most likely to benefit from innovation and the fourth industrial revolution, but at the same time, we are the most likely to suffer at the hand of technological advancements. Marina, I believe you mentioned social media algorithms, but it's much broader than that. I work on AI policy and how we can build ethical models and so on, so forth. We've actually seen models being built to harm our people and our young people in particular. And so I'm interested actually in particular at the panelists who spoke about technology. How do we balance as youth advocates the spur for innovation, so how do we technologically advance, while also ensuring the safety of our vulnerable cohorts and in particular our young people? Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. And I'd like to keep it short because we are almost out of time. But one of the primary thought process, even for younger kids, I'm talking about kids who are 5 years and above. Nowadays, everyone's using technology, everyone's using a phone, everyone's on social media. As lawmakers, I think we have a responsibility to control the usage of social media and the access that the youth have. I know some people may feel that it's curtailing the freedom of usage and the government is trying to intervene too much. But I think there's always a good and bad in whenever technology develops, particularly when I think you might have heard about the TikTok ban in India. It was very specific in terms of what the algorithms are pushing in a country like India in terms of where children putting up dance videos are getting more views and revenue compared to some technology development that's happening in China in terms of science and in terms of math. I think there's always a positive and negative while technology is developing. And I think as responsible citizens of this country and as lawmakers, I think we need to be very specific in terms of who has access to what kind of technology until we know that it's safe enough. We are all seeing the dangers of AI today because of the unknown territory. So until we get familiar with the type of technology that is being developed, like OpenAI has a lot of advantages, but there are also a lot of disadvantages in terms of the sources that they're using, the rights that many of the media have, which are being diluted. So I like to end it with that, but I definitely feel that it is on us as young adults to ensure that we have good policy for the young children of the future to have access to the right kind of technology, not everything. Yeah.
Wind up. So clearly, as you can see, we can take one last question. Otherwise, they're going to drag me away from the podium. Thank you. Last question, gentlemen.
Yes, can you all hear me? Yeah. So my name is Ruchit Asha Kamal. I've been working since last 5 years in India around climate activism, and I've also involved in a lot of social justice movements parallelly. So my questions are 3 important points I want to ask from the panel because
My suggestion is to keep it to one question, please.
One question which has 3 elements which I thought.
That's cheating.
But I believe as a 20-year-old,
That's what politicians usually do.
I believe as a 20-year-old, it is my right also to ask this question because I am the youth which all of us are here trying to speak. So my first thing is like we here are using a lot of times this term youth. And I feel like there is in the mainstream also and here in India and in a lot of countries, we see a lack in representation of the marginalized youth. Where do we see a domestic worker from Jharkhand working in Hyderabad in our youth? Where do we see the Adivasi or a tribal who is working in Hyderabad as a domestic worker or as a construction worker in this youth? And where do we see a gig worker as a youth in this, and where do we see uneducated young people as youth in this discussion, and not just in this but across the world in our policy making? Where do we put them as an important stakeholder is what I'm trying to understand, and maybe I will get a response from some of you. And second thing is like we are trying to have a conversation around climate change. We are now here in Hyderabad and the AQI level, air quality index of Hyderabad is 73. It's like smoking 2 cigarettes in a day. So going every day forward, we are increasing our risk of being alive and we are killing our health entirely. Not just that. Like in India, as a South Asian country, we are seeing a lot of devastating conditions.
I'm going to ask you to keep it very, very short, please, because we're out of time.
I am trying to also ask like how as we young people from South Asian countries will try to become a force to the rich countries and to the countries which have actually created this problem, and how do we make them accountable for the conditions which we are seeing in our country. And finally, because we spoke about, you are trying to speak about inequality, internet injustice. Like there is a real gap between a person who is watching internet in South America and a person who is watching internet in Germany. So how do we try to break this injustice and break this barrier, and how do you all who represent people from multiple countries try to speak about it and maybe try to bring a policy about it is what I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Thank you. I usually don't allow 3 questions, but the questions were really good, so I would like to thank the young gentleman. The panelists can take the questions in any order they want. I think the questions was marginalized youth, how do they fit in? Climate change, especially in the context of rising AQI levels, especially in urban India. Hyderabad is 2 cigarettes. I come from Delhi. I think that's closer to 10 cigarettes. And finally, I think the last question was, what was your last question? Internet injustice, yes. That was a lovely one too. So any order that you want, please keep it brief. And this is going to be the last.
Due to time constraints, I'll just stick to the first question. Due to time constraints, can you hear me? Yeah, perfect. So due to time constraints, I'm going to stick with the first question with regards to marginalized questions you posed on marginalized youths. In this panel, we all spoke about why youths needs to join politics, or like how youths can contribute to politics. But I need to make a statement or make a remark here in terms of how syncophancy in Indian political framework, in terms of party politics, contribute to to youths being victim to syncophancy in political culture. That question, based on that reflection, you can get to understand how marginalized youths are not getting spaces in political atmosphere where it is dominated by people, in Indian terminology we call chamchas. So how these, the syncophantic nature is making youths becoming victim of this when they enter politics is something that I will leave to the audience to reflect on and then hope to find something. But yeah.
Just a very quick comment. There's only one thing that can help those young gig workers that you're talking about, those young marginalized workers, in a world which is dominated by oligarchs and tech billionaires. Only government can be big enough to take on those forces which they are feeling most oppressed by. Only government can represent those young people, and whether we like it or not, we have to make government work for them.
So there are two more questions: internet injustice, rising AQI levels, pollution, and what South Asian youth should be thinking about.
I'll keep it brief because I think I've got most time to talk than all panelists, and thank the audience also for that. I'm also getting to spend a lot of time in Delhi now, and one of the primary concerns is the AQI levels. And I am lucky to be part of Science and Tech Committee from the Parliamentary Committee, and Heavy Industries, which takes care of electric vehicles. So one of the primary concerns that we are all trying to work on is how can we make a good enough policies and then take it to adoption and implementation level to ensure that we adopt healthy, sustainable practices, right? So the use of green energy is getting a lot of push right now in the government. I think all of you are aware. But what we are trying to do is ensure that implementation happens down to the ground level so that it has an impact on the AQI levels and ultimately the climate change impact. So that's just a brief answer for the sustainability and climate change aspect of it. And your second question, like I actually answered in the previous segment, it is about how the regulators are having control in terms of what content is being released and who has access to what type of content, right? It's at the end of the day, it's algorithms. What you're seeing in Hyderabad will be completely different to what somebody sees in Warangal, to Delhi, to a place in Sambalpur, right? So this is what we have to, as lawmakers also have clarity in terms of what direction we want to encourage our youth in terms of automotive. So Tamil Nadu, for example, has the best automotive colleges, right? Automotive engineering, a lot of them come from that area. And the zeal to take up automotive and the demand for that subject is very high in Tamil Nadu. I'm just giving an example. And this has a lot of digital impact in terms of how kids are encouraged to take such themes of education. And I think we as lawmakers also should ensure that the youth of our country has good enough access to technology which takes us forward towards development and not otherwise. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to comment quickly? Yes, please.
About the unemployment, brother, okay. I want to give you some example, okay. In Malaysia, if you want to do one job, you have to learn a skill. For example, I think everyone know dosa, right? Okay, if you are the restaurant owner, okay, will you hire the person know about dosa or the person how to cook the dosa? You understand or not? So we have to improve our skills for the employment. Okay, brother? And another thing about you talk about the cigarette, it is not only in Hyderabad, brother. In Malaysia, in all over the world, not only a cigarette, it's a drugs also. It is, my concern is how our mother rises. It's all in mother hand and also parents. Of course, no parents are teaching us to go do the bad things. Okay, so another thing, there I have one phrase in Tamil, you know. இப்போ நீங்க இல்லனா வேற யாரு நீங்க செய்யலனா வேற யார் செய்வா இப்போ இல்லனா எப்போ that means If you, not now, then when? So I think the youth from your side, you have to move first. Understand? Like you do some volunteers, go to the rural place, you meet up the who really need, you can go suggest and meet some political party brother. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll just add to what the panelists said on all the three questions. Whether it's the question of opportunities for marginalized youth, climate change, or internet inequality, what can the youth do? How can they do it? I think I'm going to share a very broad framework because I am in charge of the youth wing for the Congress Party, and I see youth from very diverse backgrounds. And I'll tell you what typically helps, sometimes works. The first thing, and I think some of the panelists talked about it, is that as a youth or as a citizen, you have to feel strongly for that issue. And I can sense that from the questions you asked. Because until you feel strongly for an issue, you're not going to start creating pressure around that issue. So the fundamental point on resolving any issues is that you have to feel for that cause, for that issue, for that individual, and you have to start creating pressure. And then as you create more pressure, as you get people around you, you have opportunities to influence policy. And for that, you don't have to be a politician or a bureaucrat. And I'm going to take a very well-known example globally. Greta was not a politician. She was not a bureaucrat. She was not even an adult. But she felt very strongly about the issue. And let's face it, she was very successful in creating so much pressure that even the governments and the UN had to hear her points. And that's a very wonderfully inspiring story, a real-life example of how youth can be more proactive. So build pressure, influence policy. If you want to join politics, more than welcome. And the best way to do that is by creating more and more pressure around an issue that you care about. So once again, I'd like to thank the panelists. I'd like to thank all the audience for listening patiently, for participating and asking questions. And I've been asked by the organizers to request you to move to Fraternity Hall. Am I right, Pushpraj? Yeah. So Fraternity Hall is where you're requested to move to. I'm sorry I was not able to accommodate as many questions as some of you would have liked, but it was wonderful having you as an audience and as a panelist. A big round of applause to all of you. Thank you.